Hey crafters, are you looking to add a splash of fall to your home decor? Well, today I'm going to show you how to crochet this cute, beginner-friendly crochet pumpkin. So let's grab our yarn and our hook and head to the crafting table. So before we can begin crocheting our pumpkin, let's go over the list of supplies that you're going to need. You're of course going to need some medium weight worsted yarn. This is the yarn that I use. It is loops and threads. It is a medium or size 4 yarn. And the color of this yarn is peach pink. You can find this at Michael's. You can also get it on Amazon. All the links to the supplies that I'm using today will be in the description. You'll also need a size H hook of your choice. You're also going to need some polyfill, which you can use to stuff the inside of your pumpkin. You can also use newspaper or some old socks, whatever you want to use. You're going to need a good sharp pair of scissors. You're also going to need a hot glue gun. You are going to need a darning needle to sew in your tails to close up the pumpkin. And you're also going to need a stick. You can get a stick from outside. If you want to use cinnamon sticks instead, you can go buy cinnamon sticks from the store. But this is just a stick I found outside in the yard that I'm going to cut down and put inside of my pumpkin. All right, so let's start crocheting our pumpkin. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to create your slip knot. And then from there, we are going to create 22 stitches. So slip knot, foundation chain of 22. Make sure you leave a decent length tail. It does not have to be super long, but it at least needs to be like 2 to 3 inches long. So we are going to chain 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. All right, so we've got 22 chains. And now what we're going to do is you are going to skip this first chain right here, and we're going to single crochet into the second chain. So we are going to do 3 single crochets. So we're going to single crochet in 1, 2, the next 3 chains. So skip the first chain, single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and then we are going to single crochet into the next 2 chains. Now for this project, you do need to know how to single crochet and half double crochet. So if you don't know how to do that, then you should check out my beginner tutorial video so that you can learn. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet all the way down until we get to 1, 2, 3 stitches from the end. So it should be 15 half double crochet, but we're going to work through to make sure. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, draw through, and draw through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, and 15. Don't worry about this curling up at the end. It'll straighten out in a little bit. All right, so we have 15 half double crochets. And so as you can see, we only have 3 stitches left. So in these last 3 stitches, we are going to single crochet. Three. All right, so that is our first row of our pumpkin. All right, now that we've done the first row, we're going to start the second row. But before we do that, let's count our stitches so you know how many stitches you should have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So you should have 21 stitches each for each row of your pumpkin. So now we're going to start row 2, and in row 2 we're going to be crocheting in the back loops. So remember, our back loops, our front loop is this part of the V, and our back loop is this part back here. And so you're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. And then remember, after we've turned our work, we don't crochet into this stitch. We crochet into the second stitch from the chain. So not this one, but the second one. And you're going to crochet into this back loop of your stitch. So we're going to do 3 single crochets. Oops. So 3 single crochets in the back loop of the first 3 stitches. And then we are going to repeat our 15 half double crochets, but they're all going to be in the back loops of the stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, and 1 more, 15. And now we're going to single crochet into our last 3 stitches. So let's get those single crochet into the back loops. All right, so as you can see, it's starting to get those nice ridges. That's what happens when you crochet in the back loop. So if you were wondering how we got those ridges on this one, it's through crocheting in the back loop. Now we are going to repeat this process 28 more times. So you're going to need 28 rows of this pattern. So you're just going to repeat row 2 again. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work. Make sure you don't accidentally get your tail and start crocheting your tail. You're going to skip that first chain, and then you're going to repeat the same process. You're going to single crochet in the back loop for the first three. There's our third single crochet, and then we're going to half double crochet down the rest of the row. So I'm going to finish this third loop with you guys, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like once we hit row 30. You should have a total of 30 rows. So we're going to finish off this one. We're going to finish off our half double crochets for row 3. Are down to our 15th half double crochet. So now we're going to hit our 3 single crochet in the back loop. 1, 3, 2. All right, and like I said, you are going to continue this process on till you hit 30 rows. So right now we are at 3 rows, and one of the ways you can count the number of rows is based on the number of ridges you have. So each ridge counts as 2 if you lose count. But 30 rows, I'm going to crochet my 30 rows, and I'll see you back when I'm finished. All right, guys, how long did it take you to get all 30 of your rows? We have 30 rows now, and I'm going to measure this real quick so you can see how long 30 rows is going to be. So with 30 rows, we end up at about 8 3/4 of an inch, almost 9 inches long, and then our height is going to be about 4 1/4 inches. So I like giving people the measurements just in case you decide you want to use something different. But now the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is to sew this lovely little pumpkin together. So what you're going to need before you cut your tail is I want you to measure out enough yarn for this. And what I like to do is I take to the side and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 4 times the height, about 4 times the height of your project. So that's where we're going to cut our string to create our tail. So anything that's about 4 times the height should be sufficient. And then we're going to finish up. We're going to go ahead and draw our yarn, our tail of our yarn all the way through, create that nice little knot there. And so the next thing that we are going to do, as I said before, is we're going to sew this together. So for that, you are going to need your darning needle. All right, so we are going to grab our darning needle and we are going to thread our yarn through our darning needle. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this rectangle and we are going to sew the sides together. So you want to fold your work in half, and then we are going to sew the side seams together. Now, you could whip stitch this together if you wanted to, but I'm going to show you how to sew this together so that when this piece is sewn together, it looks like it's part of the pumpkin and not just like this weird seam that's there. So what you're going to do first, you're going to insert your needle under the first stitch under both stitches. And then on the opposite side, You're just going to go through the first loop of that stitch, and then you're going to pull it through. And then instead of going back this way, you're going to come back and go through on the same side. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go through both stitches underneath the loop of the stitch across, and we're just going to keep going down our work. So show you one more time. Going to go through both, then we're going to go through the top loop of the next stitch. And you're going to work your way down. All right, if you've got it, go ahead and do this, and I'm going to continue working through this on screen with you guys. Of course, fast forward. So let's get our side seams sewn together. All right, and now we have completed our last side seam. Like I said, this side seam perfectly matches with the ridges that are in your pumpkin. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to sew this top closed. And this is really easy. Don't worry about this tail here. We are going to tuck it in a minute inside of the pumpkin once we get done. So we are going to take, you're going to take your needle, and actually, let's go ahead and toss that inside because we don't actually need it because we made our tail. This tail should be long enough. All right, and then you're just going to run your needle along the edges. So you're just going to kind of weave it in there. You're just going to pull through. It doesn't have to be precise. It doesn't have to be exact. So like I say, you're going to insert here, come back through the neck. You're just going to keep doing that. What we're going to do is we're going to cinch the top of this closed. As you can see, it's already starting to close, but I don't need to do that yet. And if somebody in the comments remembers what the name of the stitch is, and you can put it in the comments, please put it in there. I know how to do the stitches, I just don't remember the names of all of them sometimes. All right, so now we are back at the beginning where our original tail was. So now what you should be able to do is to just pull this and tighten it closed. And now if you want to take this tail piece back out, you can, because I'm going to show you what you can use it for later instead of tucking it in. And so you just want to pull as tightly as you can because this is going to be the bottom of our pumpkin. So just pull as tightly as you can. Don't worry about this space down here. This opening, we're actually going to go ahead and close that in. And what I like to use is the original tail to kind of close that space up so that there's not a hole in the bottom. So you're going to take the original tail and I'm going to thread it. And then you're just going to tighten this as much as you can. And then you are just going to kind of close in the space and just weave in across. So insert your needle in, just kind of weave it through in a bunch of different directions. Because this is the bottom of our pumpkin. This is the part that's going to be closed. So no one's going to see it, but we still don't want any of our stuffing or whatever you're going to use to fill in your pumpkin. You know, we don't want any of that shown. So we're going to close this up down at the bottom using our original tail. All right, so we have used our original tail to cover that hole up that we had in the bottom. Now we're going to go back to the first tail and we're going to thread it again. We'll come back in later and weave in that the original tail. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to insert it through the bottom of your pumpkin. And we're going to pull it out through the top. So now we've got the bottom of our pumpkin closed in. So we're going to put that out to the side. You can see it's all nice and cozy in there. Now you need your filling. So you're going to take some of your polyfill. If you have old kid socks that don't fit, you could put these in here. Whatever you want to use to fill your pumpkin with. You don't want to overstuff your pumpkin, but you definitely want it to, you know, look like a pumpkin. So we're going to stuff that in there. I think I'm going to put a little more in, get a little wider. You don't have to fill it all the way up to the top because once again, we are going to use our remaining yarn to seal off the top just like we did. So you don't have to fill it all the way up, but just stuff it as much as you think is necessary because we still have to put our stick into our pumpkin. So I think I'm going to put a little bit more around the side. Try not to make it too lopsided. All right, so we've got our pumpkin. We've got him filled up with polyfill, and he's not too overstuffed because you can't see the filling hanging out on the side. So that's great. So the next thing you're going to need is your hot glue gun and your stick, whatever stick you plan on using for your project. All right, now that we've got our stick, so you want to make a little, if you're using polyfill, then you want to kind of make a little indentation inside the polyfill where you can fit the stick at. And you want to put him inside of your pumpkin. Just to kind of get a sense of where he's going to go. And if you like that, and then we're going to take it out and we are going to stitch the top of the pumpkin closed just like we did the bottom. So we're going to insert our darning needle into our pumpkin and we are just going to stitch back and forth around the top so we can start closing off our pumpkin. And this is why I said it was important to leave that long tail because we stitched the sides, the bottom, and then we had to pull this yarn back up to the top of our pumpkin. All right, so now we have started to cinch that close. Okay. So now that we've got that done, now you want to take your stick. You want to check that it's going to fit in there again. I don't know if I want to leave this little piece inside of my pumpkin. What do you guys think? Gonna give him some character maybe. All right, so now we're gonna insert our stick into our pumpkin, whether that's you're going to use a cinnamon stick or a regular stick, whatever it is you want to use. It's completely up to you what you put inside of your pumpkin. So cinnamon sticks are another great choice that I see people using all the time. So you want to take your stick and you just want to put a little bit of glue around your stick. And this will help to anchor it. You also want to put a little bit down at the bottom. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. And then you're just going to carefully insert it into your pumpkin. And I think I like that. And as once you got it inserted, you want to tighten up your cinch that you've got around your pumpkin. And then what I like to do is just hold it there for a couple of seconds. It's hot glue, so it's not going to take long for it to cool down. Um, and so, yeah, it's pretty much in there now. It's not going anywhere. So here is my pumpkin. So now what we're going to do is we are going to create a knot because you still don't want this to come out. So I'm going to make a little knot to tie off our tail. So I'm going to make a little knot here. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're finally going to weave off our ends. And so because this is already up here at the top, I just like to kind of weave it in, come through up at the top, and just kind of weave it through a couple of stitches at the top of the pumpkin. Go here one time. And because we want this to stay secure, we don't want it to come out, so we're going to go back through a couple more times. So that was pass 2. And one more for good luck. And you can come and start at a different spot in the pumpkin and just weave your tails in. I have a video on weaving in tails, so if you would like to check that out, you can find that in the beginners tutorial section. So we're just going to weave in that tail a little bit, tighten it up. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to insert it inside, pull it all the way through, and then you're going to take your scissors, if you can find your handy dandy scissors. You're going to take your scissors and you are going to snip off that tail. And that tail will hide inside and live inside of your pumpkin. And then we're also going to weave in our yarn tail from the bottom. And we're just going to do the same thing. We actually aren't going to weave this one through because this one is pretty solid. And we're just going to maybe pop this one through here on this side and then take it back in pretty close because you don't want to create some weird bump in your pumpkin. Granted, this is at the bottom, so no one will notice it, but you're going to bring it back through one more time, pull it taut me, make sure you're not cutting your stitches, and ta-da! You have just created your first little pumpkin. I think it looks pretty cute. I hope you enjoyed learning how to crochet this cute beginner-friendly crochet pumpkin. If you would like the pattern, check out the description section of the video. And if you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Keep crafting and I'll see you in the next video.